Welcome to Not So Creative. In this tutorial, I'll show you how to sew this simple yet stylish two-tone origami bag. This version features a lining for a neat and durable finish. This bag is beginner-friendly and comes together quickly with just a few seams. Let's dive in. Okay, first we need to draft the pattern. For this, cut a rectangle measuring 44 cm wide by 49 cm high. From the top left corner, measure and mark 10 cm. From this mark, draw two diagonal lines, one connecting to the bottom left corner and the other to the bottom right corner. On the right diagonal line, measure 27 cm from the top down and mark. On the bottom edge, measure 7 cm from the left and mark. Connect these two marks with a straight line. And that's it, your pattern draft is completed. Now, using the full pattern, cut one piece from the main fabric and one piece from the lining fabric. The bottom edge of the pattern should be placed on the fabric fold. Once you have both the main fabric and the lining piece, take the pattern and cut along the diagonal middle line. Discard the smaller piece and use the remaining larger piece to cut one contrasting outer fabric piece and one lining fabric piece. Again, place the bottom edge on the fold. Open the main fabric piece and lay it right side up. Now, place the lining piece on top, right side down, like this. Sew along the longer diagonal edges with a 1 cm seam allowance, starting and stopping 2 cm away from the pointed edges. Trim the top corners and turn the piece right side out. Press with an iron, ensuring the edges lay flat and crisp. Now place this piece aside. We now have to take the contrasting outer fabric and place it right side up. Then place the lining piece on top, right side down. Just as we did before, sew along the long diagonal edges using a 1 cm seam allowance. Again, starting 2 cm away from each end. Trim the top corners and notch the center seam to reduce bulk. Turn the piece right side out and press well. Lay the contrasting outer piece flat, right side up, then overlap with the main fabric piece on top, aligning the center seams and overlapping by a ½ centimeter, which is about a ¼ inch. Top stitch along the overlap to secure both pieces together. fold the bag in half, aligning the edges. To sew the side seams, first fold the lining inward to isolate the outer fabric layers. Pin the outer fabric side seams together and sew with a 1 cm seam allowance. Repeat for the other side. Now you can leave the corners as they are, or you can box them for a deeper shape. To box the corners, we have to flat the bottom corners so that the seams align in the middle. Mark a straight line 2 cm from the tip. If you want a deeper bag, you can adjust the measurement, just make the line further. Pin in place and sew along the marked lines on both corners. Now trim the excess fabric. Align the lining pieces right sides together, like this, and pin. Sew along the side seams using a 1 cm seam allowance, leaving a 10 cm gap on one side for turning later. Box the corner as you did for the outer fabric. Trim the excess fabric, then turn the bag right side out through the gap in the lining. To sew the other side of the lining, turn the bag inside out again. Pin the lining sides together, like this. And sew with a 1 cm seam allowance. Again, you have to leave a 10 cm gap. Box the last corner, trim excess fabric, and turn the bag right side out. Ensure all corners and top handles are properly shaped. Close both gaps in the lining by either machine stitching close to the edge or using a lather stitch by hand. It's your choice. Cut the top of the handles by 1 cm and fold the edges to the inside of the bag. Cut a strip of fabric measuring 40 by 9 cm. Fold it in half lengthwise and sew along the long edge with a 1 cm seam allowance. Turn the tube right side out and press. Top stitch along both long edges with a 1 cm seam allowance. I like doing it on both sides because it looks a little bit more professional and neat. Place each end of the handle 1 cm inside each bag opening. Pin in place and top stitch along the edge of the bag to secure the handle. And that's it, your bag is ready to use. I love how simple yet practical this construction is. You can make a lightweight, soft version or a sturdier bag, depending on the fabric you choose. You can also add a magnetic fastener in the center for extra security, though the design itself keeps it from opening easily when worn. If you enjoyed this tutorial, don't forget to like, subscribe and share. I'd love to hear your thoughts. Do you like this style of bag? Thanks for watching, happy sewing, and I'll see you in the next video.